Everything you thought you knew about the music industry was a carefully staged illusion. The very idols whose music shaped your memories, the voices that comforted, inspired, and electrified you hid a sinister reality. Beneath the lights and applause, there's a shadowy side to fame that the world rarely sees. Today, we're venturing behind the velvet ropes and studio walls to expose a secret so haunting, it has been buried for decades. Imagine for a moment the thrill of discovering your favorite artist's breakout hit, only to later learn that their success came at a cost no one ever talked about. Imagine the heartbreak of realizing that some of the industry's brightest stars weren't just victims of the system, they were complicit in protecting it. This is the story of power abused, trust betrayed, and voices silenced. Get ready to witness the unraveling of a scandal that shook the music world to its core, a story of courage, pain, and reckoning that refuses to be forgotten. The late 1990s and early 2000s were a transformative era for music. Genres collided, giving rise to revolutionary sounds and unforgettable superstars. Hip-hop was cementing its dominance, R&B was reaching soulful peaks, and pop was enjoying a golden age. Behind every hit song was an industry built to churn out fame, fortune, and cultural moments. The labels were the kingmakers, their power so immense they could take an unknown artist and make them a household name overnight. But beneath this veneer of innovation and success was a darker reality. The industry operated as a near-feudal system, where a select few controlled not only the careers of artists, but their lives. Young performers, often from humble beginnings, entered the business bright-eyed and hopeful, only to find themselves entangled in a web of exploitation. At the center of this era stood two of the most powerful names in music: Diddy and Jay-Z. Their influence stretched beyond chart-topping hits. They were tastemakers, moguls, and cultural icons. To work with them was a dream for many up-and-coming artists, including a 16-year-old singer we'll call Lila. Her entry into this glittering world marked the beginning of a nightmare that the industry would work tirelessly to keep hidden. Lila's story began like so many others, full of hope, ambition, and the promise of stardom. At 16, she signed her first record deal with one of the biggest labels in the country. Her voice was extraordinary, her energy infectious. Industry executives saw her as the next big thing. But the journey that should have been her ascent to greatness instead became a descent into betrayal and fear. One fateful night, Lila was invited to a private recording session, a rite of passage for many young artists eager to prove themselves. The room was filled with influential figures, producers, managers, and even a few celebrities. It was an environment charged with expectation and power. But what happened that night would haunt her for years. According to her later testimony, she was coerced into staying long after the session ended. Alone and vulnerable, she became a target for those who saw her not as a person, but as a commodity. These were not random strangers, they were her mentors, the people who had promised to protect and guide her. The betrayal cut deeper than anything she could have imagined. Yet, Lila's story wasn't unique. Over the years, similar accounts would emerge, painting a harrowing picture of systemic abuse within the industry. Lila's voice would eventually rise above the silence, but it took years for her to muster the courage to speak out. In a tearful interview, she described the pain and isolation she endured. "They didn't just take my innocence," she said. "They took my belief in myself, in people, in the world. I wasn't just betrayed, I was erased." Her testimony was gut-wrenching, but it was also a spark. After her story went public, other survivors began to share their own experiences. For every Lila, there were dozens of others whose voices had been silenced. Some spoke of exploitation disguised as mentorship, others of contracts that left them penniless despite their success. The common thread was a sense of powerlessness in the face of an industry designed to prioritize profits over people. But as Lila would later reflect, breaking her silence wasn't just about seeking justice for herself. It was about creating a space for others to be heard. "If my story can help even one person," she said, "then it was worth telling." The unveiling of the truth. As Lila's story gained traction, journalists began digging into the industry's dark underbelly. What they uncovered was shocking, even to seasoned insiders. Confidential reports, leaked emails, and whistleblower accounts revealed patterns of predatory behavior that had been systematically ignored. Artists were trapped in exploitative contracts, silenced by non-disclosure agreements, and threatened with blacklisting if they dared to speak out. The public reaction was explosive. Fans who had once idolized industry giants now demanded accountability. Social media became a powerful tool for amplifying survivors' voices, with hashtags trending worldwide and celebrities joining the conversation. But not everyone was ready to confront the industry's failures. Detractors dismissed the allegations as baseless or sensationalized, a chilling reminder of the challenges survivors face when seeking justice. One of the most pervasive myths surrounding the scandal was that these incidents were isolated or recent. In truth, whispers of misconduct had circulated in industry circles for decades. The difference now was that survivors finally had platforms to share their stories without fear of immediate retaliation. Another misconception was the idea that these abuses were confined to certain genres or eras. The reality was far more widespread. From pop to hip-hop, from the 1980s to the present day, exploitation had been woven into the fabric of the business. Survivors like Leela forced the industry and the public to confront these uncomfortable truths, a reflection on the industry. Lila's story is more than a personal tragedy. It's a microcosm of an industry that has long prioritized power and profit over ethics and accountability. For decades, the music business operated like a fortress, its inner workings shielded from scrutiny by a culture of silence and complicity. This scandal isn't just about individuals, it's about a system that enables abuse and silences dissent. It's about the countless artists who never got the chance to share their talents with the world because they were discarded after speaking out. And it's about the fans, who deserve to know the truth about the people and systems they support. In 2023, Lila took a step that would become a defining moment in her journey. Standing before a sea of supporters at a rally for survivors' rights, she said, "This is not just my story, it's ours, and we will not be silenced any longer." Her words were met with thunderous applause, but their impact reached far beyond the crowd. Her courage inspired others to come forward, creating a ripple effect that would forever change the industry. The legacy of the scandal. Lila's story is a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. It's proof that even in the face of overwhelming odds, truth and courage can prevail. Her journey has sparked conversations, inspired reforms, and given hope to countless others who thought their voices didn't matter. The music industry is still grappling with its failures, and true accountability remains elusive. As fans, consumers, and creators, we all have a role to play in demanding better for the artists we admire and the people whose stories remain untold. What do you think about these revelations? Do you believe the industry can truly change, or is this just the beginning of a long fight for justice? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another deep dive into the stories that matter.